BTC is down today 6.5% as we speak. Let's bring in Scott Bauer, CEO of Prosper Trading Academy. Scott, this thing just can't seem to get away from 65,000.
No, and there's a lot of news out there that really over the last couple of days affected this and maybe put a big scare into some people. And I don't want to say that we've seen this story before, which, you know, the news coming out of China, we kind of saw that back in September. But this is, you know, there's a lot going on right now between the U.S. dollar. And so, you know, you got a lot of profit taking. And then overnight last night, there were a lot of whales that were liquidating last night. So lots of pressure here. Oliver, a couple of weeks ago, you and I talked about on that rally above, where was that inflection point? Where was that point that I would like to see Bitcoin come back to before we really broke out? And that was at the former resistance, right around 57.5 or so. I think that's in the cards here. I think we're going to hit that pretty soon.
You think we've got another little drop ahead of us here?
I do. I think you're going to start seeing buyers come in little bit here. And then, you know, if we get close to that 57.5 number, I would absolutely use that as a buying area for some major support here.
Scott, sometimes I wonder if we're sharing the same chart, especially when it comes to BTC. I'm looking at the exact same levels, 57.5 as support to the downside. And then, you know, obviously we've established some kind of resistance somewhere above 66, some kind of murky area that maybe stretches up to 70. So if 57.5 does hold, is it a trade to 65? Is it a trade to a longer term breakout? Do you think that potential is still there?
I do. I really do. Are we going to get there in one fell swoop, you know, just a straight line up without maybe some gyrations? Probably not. But 62.5 area is where I would look for maybe that first level up to maybe let go of a little if we do buy it down at 57.5. And then if it does break through there, I think then you really see those all-time highs coming. But, you know, like I said, it's not just the China news that have some people kind of spooked here. It's really, you know, you look at the U.S. dollar at not all-time highs, at 16-month highs.
Feels like it.
And that, yeah, it certainly does compared to where we've been. You know, at 16-month highs, and that's putting some pressure on the space as well. And then, of course, not to be, put out in the background here, you've got all the chatter, all the talk about what is the crypto provision in the infrastructure bill.
So, Scott, if that dollar does keep its trend higher, do you think the coiners are going to have a problem with the overall inflation impact on these asset classes? Because it seems like the Fed is starting to respond. Maybe inflation's not so good for BTC if it's going to force hikes.
Exactly. So I think, you know, if the dollar does continue, that is going to keep pressure. But what we've seen is the pattern of, you know, these stories kind of play themselves out. And so as you know, things continue, and if the dollar would continue higher, Oliver, we probably see less and less pressure on BTC down the road. But for right now, it is a very, very strong consideration. But I really do think also that these provisions in the new infrastructure bill that have some people, you know, thinking also, you know what, I got to take some profits off the table.
And Scott, in terms of the regulatory side, what do you think could be in store? I mean, is there going to be some major efforts from regulators to move on that ETF, the spot ETF, or is the regulation story kind of simmering at the moment? We got the futures ETF through. Is there anything lingering on that front?
No, but it is a very fluid situation, and I think it's still very much a gray area where, you know, it's almost still like the wild, wild west. It's being controlled a little bit, but we don't know what the next regulatory step may be. But what is happening, what is proposed at least with the new infrastructure bill here, that has some people scared because you're looking at, you know, these brokers or the exchanges, if you will, having to now issue 1099s to people. People don't want that. People don't want that. And there could be some real difficulty because you can exchange coins from wallet to wallet to wallet and really not have, let's say, a transaction, a profit or a loss, but just an exchange from wallet to wallet, and you're still going to get hit with a 1099 and possibly have to report that.
Okay. I like that reminder, Scott. Thank you, sir, for the thoughts here on the chart and what to look for. BTC.
Take care of that voice.
Yes, I'm trying, Scott. I'm trying. 57.5, the place to try and buy the dip, right? 57.5?
That's where I'm at. You got it.
Okay. Thanks, Scott. Have a good one. CEO of Prosper Trading Academy.